Greetings, my friends. I want to thank you all for subscribing. I want to thank all of my channel members for supporting me in this endeavor to save pop culture. And if you are not subscribed, please consider supporting this channel. We need you. Thank you. Greetings, my friends. I come to you today with the answer to a question that has plagued Star Wars fans for these many years. What's wrong with Star Wars? Why is it that Star Wars has sucked long and hard since Disney acquired it? Well, the answer comes to us by way of Tricia Barr, co-author of Star Wars: The Visual Encyclopedia and a podcast called Girls Going Rogue that presents the fangirl's point of view. And surprise, surprise, according to Tricia, the problem with Star Wars is not enough women in the room. Well, now it all makes sense. Never mind that Kathleen Kennedy is a woman at the very top that completely botched the Disney sequel trilogy. Never mind that the Lucasfilm Story Group was stuffed to the gals with women. Never mind that the men serving on the Lucasfilm Story Group are woke enough to give a bottle of Ambien a sleepless night. No. Tricia's solution is not enough women in the room. Now, I should mention that, from her perspective as a girl gone rogue, the problem with Star Wars is The Mandalorian, not the Disney sequel trilogy. The only remotely successful thing that Disney has done Star Wars-wise. So maybe we shouldn't listen to her, but tell you what, I'm going to let her speak for herself in her own words, and then I'll go ahead and set her straight in my own words. With thanks to the excellent Itchy Baka, whose Disney Star Wars is dumb.wordpress.com site called my attention to all this madness. Thank you, Itchy. You are awesome. So Tricia went on a tweet storm in her outrage over, of all things, Pablo Hidalgo's tweets, which, despite being marinated overnight in the ovulating essence of feminism, were not deemed woke enough or groveling enough for Tricia, and thus he had to be corrected by her. I love the smell of SJWs turning on each other in the morning. Smells like victory. Funny, isn't it? How the wokest of the woke inevitably fail at some point to be woke enough, and then their former comrades turn on them like pod people on Veronica Cartwright in Invasion of the Body Snatchers. It's great sport to watch, and I hope you'll enjoy the spectacle. All this brouhaha starts over the issue of Baby Yoda eating the eggs. Tricia was outraged over this plot development. She made a pronouncement regarding the problem with The Mandalorian. Pablo rightly rebutted that idiotic pronouncement with cold, hard facts, and that's where the trouble began, because SJWs hate cold, hard facts. So Tricia writes, let's talk about Pablo Hidalgo's tweets. There have been numerous instances in recent years of company employees being disciplined or fired for what they posted on their personal, not company, social media accounts, especially for criticizing or denigrating customers or clients. Well, as it should be, Tricia, but continue. Sharing screenshots from Hidalgo's locked Twitter account for a personal fanbook page about his personal life or his random comments on pop culture is inappropriate. But a company executive discussing its product and disparaging its customers is not a private matter. Here's what I said. There aren't enough women in the room, and it's showing. That's an indisputable fact. But I did not say there aren't women in the room. I said there aren't enough women in the room. And then she has her own tweet here. Here's the deflection. The eggs aren't fertilized. It doesn't matter. They are her eggs, and the story shows how much she values them. There aren't enough women in the room, and it's showing. Hidalgo took a screenshot of my response to fellow LFL employee Phil Sostak's rationalization of a storytelling choice and paired it with the credits card of The Mandalorian for Kathleen Kennedy, EP, and Colin Wilson, EP, Karen Gilchrist, co-executive producer, and John Bartnicki, producer, Carrie Beck, co-EP, John Hampion, Janet Lewin, and Jason McGatlin, co-producers. Hidalgo thinks this proves that enough women work on The Mandalorian. Here is the reality. The Mandalorian has had no women writers and no women showrunners for 2 seasons and will only have 1 woman director this season. That is not enough women. Okay, let me translate here. Basically, Tricia complained that there are not enough women on The Mandalorian to solve the problem of Baby Yoda eating the alien lady's eggs. That's a truly pathetic notion, but I'll deal with that in a moment. Fact is, Pablo Hidalgo owned Tricia by presenting her with the facts of how many women are associated with The Mandalorian at a very high level. And she didn't like being mansplained to with facts. So she got pissy and said, well, there aren't enough women writers and directors. That is not enough women. Okay, Tricia, here's the deal. I'm not a woman, and I was upset about Baby Yoda eating the eggs. Women do not have a monopoly on compassion or on comprehension of significance. Even though I'm a man, I got that those eggs were precious to that female amphibian. They were her legacy, and they were the whole reason for all the trouble because Mandalorian couldn't travel in hyperspace or risk damaging them. Guess what? Men can think and have compassion, and if I'd have been in the writer's room, I'd have pointed it out. Even so, the fact is we don't really know how much Baby Yoda comprehends at this point. Does he understand language? Is he infantile, autistic? I have no idea. But I thought he was largely innocent and uncomprehending of the consequences of his actions, like a kid getting into a cookie jar. But here you are, turning a debatable plot point into some kind of sad and silly-ass crusade about how only women get that this is problematic and how only women can save The Mandalorian. Well, at the risk of mansplaining, I've got another news flash for you. The Mandalorian is the only thing keeping Disney Star Wars alive at this point. All the women in the main office and the Lucasfilm Story Group have done an absolute shit job with George Lucas's legacy. And you want to what? Pour more women on a problem that isn't a problem at all? Favreau and Filoni are doing much better work than Kennedy and all her cronies managed all these years. So maybe more women isn't the solution. Maybe the solution is getting one less woman by the name of Kennedy out of Star Wars. Could that possibly be? And here's more of her beef with Pablo Hidalgo, the patriarchy, and cold, hard facts. Moreover, neither Star Wars films nor television, including Rebels Resistance and TCW S7, has reached anything close to enough women, much less gender parity in the most important creative roles under the oversight of these producers. It's also important to note that Hidalgo knows me professionally. I did the sensitive read for representation of women for his Star Wars book, The Essential Reader's Companion. He knows I have a website that is focused on critiquing and praising representation in Star Wars. Pablo Hidalgo chose to use social media to undermine a voice of criticism while choosing to try to keep it in a circle that would prevent dialogue or defense. Wait, what? Pablo used social media to undermine a voice of criticism? Tricia made an assertion regarding what's wrong with Star Wars. Pablo rebutted that assertion with fact. The facts made her look bad and probably feel embarrassed, and now she accuses him of preventing dialogue or defense? Seems to me, like you said, there are not enough women. Pablo showed you there are plenty of women. Now you're saying that plenty of women still isn't enough women, because I guess Favreau and Filoni are still men at this point, which is offensive and problematic. Point being, this seems like a debate. Tricia is crying foul because she's losing the debate. Okay, fine. SJWs are known to get salty when confronted with facts. But I see this debate here as continuing. She is continuing it right here, right now. So what's the problem exactly? Well, here's where things get really, really weird, folks. Check this out. The concerns expressed about the passenger address a storytelling point that missed on many levels. 1, it plays into harmful tropes of pain or humor at a female character's expense, a topic where Star Wars does not have a high ground. 2, women and men expressed that they felt it was insensitive to their own personal fertility struggles. Mocking this pain as invented is heartless. Whoa, wait a minute. Harmful tropes of pain or humor at a female character's expense? Oh, please, give me a break. You're supposed to be a writer. Well, here's another news flash. All humor comes from pain. Painful humor is universal, and men have had the brunt of it forever. The Three Stooges, Jackass, Buster Keaton, the humiliation of Ricky Gervais in The Office, throughout history. Men have taken nut shots and gotten whacked in the head with boards and done stupid things to themselves that have hurt them, and we have laughed because it's funny. The stuff with the eggs was not funny to me at all. Thing is, I cringed because I appreciated, despite being a base male, that this was tragic, and I didn't like it at all. But what humor there was, if any, in the scene was not over the female's pain, but at what a little shit the baby was being. Any humor in the scene was the humor of watching an essential innocent do something sneaky, like a kid sneaking a cookie. He doesn't know why it's wrong, it's not malicious, but it's funny. Watching, say, a cat creeping towards the fish on your plate slowly, even though he knows he's being bad. His desire compels him, and it's funny because he thinks he's outsmarting you. You can see the little thoughts in his furry little head. That's the only humor there, which you'd know if you had a sense of humor. It has nothing to do with laughing at a female suffering. Give me a break. Not everything is political and an outrage of the patriarchy. And as far as saying that this was insensitive to the personal fertility struggles of other men and women, so we can't ever mock anything, because somewhere in the world, it will be insensitive to someone who is undergoing a similar situation. We can't laugh at bald jokes because there are bald people suffering. We can't joke about people slipping and falling and hurting themselves in slapstick comedy, a time-honored tradition, because somewhere, someone has slipped and fallen in that way. Jesus Christ. So basically, we just need to shut up because we really mustn't dare to risk offending anyone, right? If anyone, anywhere, has suffered, then we cannot laugh at that anymore. So basically, we just want to shut up in your peaceful, tranquil, strangely silent, and devoid of laughter or humor SJW world. Fuck that. Fuck that mind control. Fuck that joyless, humorless piece of shit existence that you want to build to spare the feelings of some people that are suffering. People are always suffering. I suffer. We all suffer. I'm not looking to stifle the rest of civilization to spare my feelings over my suffering. Suffering is a universal human condition. And if you're going to go ahead and say we can't talk about that, what can we talk about? I guess your personal outrage. Here's the crux of it. He targeted a segment of the fandom that is mostly women, with whom I happen to disagree on many topics in Star Wars. His tweets on a social media platform were gendered. He directed his derisive defensiveness against women. I'm no expert on Pablo Hidalgo. I don't particularly like the guy, but it seems to me, at least in this instance, he succinctly rebutted Tricia's assertion with facts, and facts are not directed towards women or towards men, but towards free-thinking people of either gender with open minds. And trying to politicize an argument in order to win it is a form of ad hominem attack that has no valid logical standing and gets no respect from me. And so here it is, folks. A glimpse into the SJW mind, a humorless place filled with outrage over, well, not a lot, frankly. The world is not black and white. I agree in general that I would not have made stealing the eggs a running gag, but I'm a male, so much for her thesis about more women being needed. What's really needed in that case is just a bit of taste and sensitivity and a little more narrative acumen, which could be provided by either sex. Hey, that sounds kind of progressive to me. Well, what do you know? From the center of the earth, this is Dictor Van Doomcock bidding you all, my friends, stay angry.